There are some people in this life who are chronically ill prepared. Every time something comes up that's a major problem, they're always stuck in a lurch and always have to have someone to bail them out because they've never taken the time to prepare. One thing that confuses me the most nowadays is the lack of attention to preparedness. There was a point in time in my life where I wasn't prepared. And every time you turned around, there was a problem with me, a problem, a problem. Now, I'm not saying just because you're prepared you won't have any problems. Life has problems. Things come up unexpectedly sometimes, and it can be a problem. But it's your perception of that problem as to how you're going to deal with it. And the thing is that being prepared is a blessing. It takes a little time. It takes a little discipline, and it takes a little scheduling. There are a lot of people that are in situations that have been flashing red for the longest. They could have been involved in a financial situation or could have been involved in a relationship situation where they knew that that situation was filled with a lot of drama from the jump. They knew that that situation was probably going to end. So what they should have done was create an exit plan or ulterior ways of dealing with it from the time they got involved. Because there are some drama-filled situations that we can't help. Sometimes things just show up on your doorstep and you got to deal with them. We don't always have choices about some of the situations we're thrust in. Let me give you a case in point. Let's say you have a relative who has fallen on hard times and they have health problems as well. They never took the time to set aside any money just in case. They probably never had children or anything like that, no one to take care of them in the immediate family, and you're the closest thing to them. And they basically have to stay with you. I mean, you're almost strangers. You grew up together at some point, but we all know that growing up together as children and being adults are two totally different animals sometimes. Just because you grew up with somebody doesn't mean that's the same person you grew up with, because of whatever experiences they went through could have changed their mindset as to how they deal with things. So you still have to learn this person regardless, especially if they come to live with you. And let's say that this person lives with you, and let's say that they have chronic illnesses, and we're talking about illnesses where there are no cures. They have to go to treatments and appointments and things like that. This person has made no preparations, had nothing set aside just in case something would happen to them. They're up in age. They could be in their 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever the case may be. And here you are, because you love this person, and rightly so, you're willing to move everything around in your life to make their days better. This person's illness didn't have a time limit. In other words, the doctor didn't say they only have 6 months to live. The doctor didn't say they only have a year to live. There is no final date. It's just that there's no cure for the diseases at the time, but they have to go through a lot of treatment. So this could last for a long period of time. This person could be going to treatments for 5, 10, 15, 20 years before anything comes through, if there is a breakthrough or if they pass away, one of the two. So we're talking about a long period of time of this person being in your life. And you switched everything around to be with them, rightly so. Okay, because you love them. Nothing wrong with that. Where it gets tricky is where you've gotten so used to that person being around after several years. A part of you kind of is in denial of the fact that this person is sick, and you take for granted that their presence is always going to be around. So you don't make any plans as to what your moves are going to be after they're gone. Now, there's nothing wrong with hope. There are a lot of people, in a lot of cases, I know that I was close to people and they had illnesses, and I'm thinking, well, medical breakthroughs come through every day. So, in the back of your mind, you're kind of hoping that a cure will come and everything will be just fine. If this person has more than one disease, it really doesn't happen, especially if they're older. And if they're older and you're close to them, the day is going to come where they're going to die. But you try to avoid thinking that because you don't want to be depressed. You want to keep your spirits high because this person's going through a whole lot of things emotionally. They're not as independent and they can't function the way they used to. So they have to kind of lean on you emotionally to kind of help keep their spirits up so they won't go into a depression about their conditions. And that's understandable. It's a lot of emotional work on your part in order to deal with this. But also, you're going to have to take some time and you're going to have to think about that time that that person is gone. You're going to have to think about what your game plan is going to be. And once you do that game plan, whether you write it down, journal it, tell a friend, do an audio, do a video, whatever, lock it up, put it away, and let it stay away until that day comes. You don't have to ruminate on it all the time. I was talking to somebody the other day about a will. You know, they've got all this education, they got all this property and everything else, but they don't have a will. And they have illnesses, yes. One of them's chronic, the other two are acute. But the thing is, they have to have treatments and stuff, and they're getting up in age. So my question to them was, I said, when are you going to do a will? I don't want to think about death and this, that, and other. I said, well, how can you not think about death? I said, you've got one chronic illness, there's no cure, and two acute illnesses that are currently being treated. I said, so what's going to happen to your family after you're gone? Well, when I'm gone, I'm gone. Now, see, that's a level of selfishness that I can't tolerate. I can't tolerate that level of selfishness. I know it's coming from a place of denial, but you know, some of y'all need to grow up about that. When I'm gone, it doesn't matter. Yes, it does. Because you got family members that got to clean up the mess afterwards. You still have medical bills, you got transportation bills, you got leftover utility bills and everything else from the moment you take your last breath. And somebody that you leave here is going to have to handle that. So shouldn't you care about where your finances are going to be going afterwards? Designate something to somebody, give somebody some kind of conservatorship or custodian or power of attorney or something. So don't be a fool. Now, let's just say you're in a situation where you do have to take care of someone who's, ill and they haven't made any preparations, don't have a life insurance policy, don't have a will, don't have any money saved up, no investments or anything like that, and they're staying with you because they can't afford to be by themselves or they're not physically capable of being by themselves. It's an overwhelming thing, but you're going to have to take a little time out. You're going to have to get somebody to assist you, first of all, because to take care of one person who is sickly is a lot of stress on one person. It's always good to have a backup or somebody to cover you, because one person taking care of one person is too much, because the caretaker is going to need a little help. Take that moment, make your decisions, and just lock it up somewhere. Safe deposit box or Google Drive, whatever you need to do, and just forget about it. Because when that person takes that last breath, you don't want to be in a position where you're running around trying to finalize everything by yourself. Don't assume that people are going to chime in and help out, because they might not be in a position to help out. Just assume that you're going to be the only one to take care of everything, and be prepared to decide, okay, once this person is put to rest, what now? What do I do? Do I move away? Do I stay here? If I stay here, what do I do with the belongings? What do I do with the final assets? If I choose to move, where am I moving to? What are my living arrangements? Do I have any money saved up? Am I going to work a full or part-time job? Am I going to start a business? You need to come up with a game plan after the fact. Because there are a lot of people, even though they knew that this time was coming, a part of them didn't want to make any preparations because they were still holding on to hope. So now the last breath has been taken, and that person is gone from this earth spiritually. And these people are running around acting like they don't know what to do with themselves. It wasn't an unexpected situation, it was coming. And it's a sad situation. And now they're running around and they're trying to ask people who have lives of their own for help, and they really don't have time to commit. Then all of a sudden they have a problem with them. All of a sudden they're the bad guy. No, they're not. And I know this is a difficult subject for some of you to hear. It really is. But you got to take those few minutes, Go ahead, make your appointment with your lawyer, whoever it is you need to make whatever arrangements you need to make, and like I said, go ahead and journal, video, audio, or whatever your plans are going to be, and just set them aside. Once that person take their last breath, then you'll have a timetable and you'll know where you're going and what you'll do. Because what's going to happen is you're already grieving that that person is gone. And then if you don't have a plan and a whole bunch of extra time, depression's going to set in, and then that's going to lead to a host of other problems. So it's always good to have a good plan after that. I'm not a fan of talking about death, but death is a part of life, people. And it's okay to grieve. There's nothing wrong with grieving. I grieve. There's nothing wrong with being sentimental from time to time. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. That's part of the human condition. And as a matter of fact, if you've lost someone close to you and you haven't grieved and they've been gone for a considerable period of time, you need to go see someone, because more than likely you have been acting out those feelings instead of addressing your grief. So you need to go ahead and see somebody or go to grief support and get that, and go ahead and just, start the process of grieving, because it takes a while. It takes a while. It really does. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys to it. But yeah, I know it's sensitive, but some of you do need